All right.
All right.
All right. Give it a couple of minutes here. Okay. Now we're rolling here. What's going on, everybody? It's Arknolia and the Doctor with Dr. Earl and Arknolia Stroke being here. And YR said he's going to be a little bit late on the show today. I guess about either 20, 30 minutes later on. And as I mentioned on last Thursday, we're going to be talking about bands with only one or two original members left. And we've seen that happening with a lot of classic bands that we've known for many years, ranging from Nazareth, a couple times with Black Sabbath there. I mean, Foghat,
Well,
and
Black Sabbath ended up kind of doing it right because they reformed, did one
yeah,
more
that's
run, and then disbanded.
yeah, no, yeah. Sadly there, but during around the mid early 1980s and some couple times in the 90s there, it was Tony Iommi with the Sabbath name with a whole bunch of different guys in it. Back around 1986, it was like people were saying, "Are you serious? This is a joke?" And a lot of people have been saying the same thing about the current Judas Priest live lineup. It's only basically the main members we really know from the classic lineup. Was Rob Halford and bassist Ian Hill, and of course, there's some bands out there that we grew up listening to as kids and with just only one original member. For three examples: Nazareth, Foreigner, and let's see, what's that other one down? Oh, Foghat. Forgot to mention. Drummer Roger Earl has a whole new lineup of Foghat with him. Replacing some of the original members like Dave
Without Lonesome
Pearford.
Dave, that group's nothing.
I know, yeah, he was like the main voice to that group. His current replacement is Charlie Hunn, who did some guitar playing and singing with Ted Nugent. Look up the album Weekend Warriors from 1978. He was heavily involved on the vocals on that album there. Now, Lonesome Dave, as you know, is dead. And of course, Rod Price, our lead guitarist, he's also no longer on this planet here. So Roger Earl has decided to keep Foghat going with his lineup of Foghat. Of course, the band Boston. The only main member that we remember from that classic lineup was, of course, guitarist and founding member Tom Schultz. The man, but basically, he's been behind Boston's music and ideas from the very beginning there. Not only is he the songwriter, the lead guitarist, the producer, but he's also the engineer of all their albums. Now, Boston has been doing a lot of shows as of late, I guess, up until, I guess, the pandemic struck. And it's been, of course, a whole new lineup. I guess they even got a female member in at one point. The
Hmm.
only real member, the main other member of Boston is co-guitarist Gary Peel, who joined the group in 1986, trading licks on the track I Think I Like It, which is a song about accepting change from the Third Stage album from that same year. He toured with Boston started touring with them back in 1987 when he did a 6-state tour, which I was lucky to see in the Joe Louis Arena back in Detroit of that year. Now, Gary Peel, who was one of the lead guitarists with Sammy Hagar, who used to open for Boston back in the day there. But, it's like a lot of people say, it's not the same without Brad Delp being on vocals, of course, for the obvious reason. Brad Delp committed suicide in 2007 there. Nazareth, another one we all know from Razmanaz, Hair of the Dog, their cover of Love Hurts, Too Close Enough for Rock and Roll, Big Boy, Malice in Wonderland, all those albums and songs from yesteryear. Pete Agnew, the bass player, he's the only one running the Nazareth name right now. He's got a whole bunch of new members there. Daryl Sweet, the drummer, had passed away. Dan McCafferty, the vocalist, decided to retire from the road. Manny Charlton, the lead guitarist, he had the Manny Charlton band, which featured a couple members of couple of guys who live here in Texas, what I understand. I don't know if he resided here in Texas. It would have been nice if he did, but we don't know if he still lives in Texas or not there. But either way, it's only one original member of that group right now, as we all know.
Wow.
Yeah. Of course, we cannot forget one of the big ones out there, Black Sabbath. In 1986, the album Seventh Star came out. It was basically Tony Iommi by himself. And the story behind that was that it was originally supposed to have been a Tony Iommi solo album. But the record label, both here in the States and the UK, Vertigo and Warner Brothers, decided, hey, make it a Black Sabbath album. It will sell millions. It'll sell a lot better than just Tony Iommi, the solo artist, that's for sure. Yeah, it did kind of sell, but unfortunately, compared to the Ultimate Sin that their former frontman, Ozzy Osbourne, had out at that time, Seventh Star didn't really make that much noise. It was around the lower 100s, while the Ultimate Sin from Ozzy was in the top 10. And a lot of people were coming down hard on Iommi for taking the Sabbath name and quote-unquote running through a pile of shit like he was. Now, Iommi would carry on doing this with a bunch of different members. One album, The Eternal Idol, would introduce us to the singer Tony Martin, who would later become a official frontman for Sabbath, up until they got back together with Ronnie James Dio back in 91. He would record with a couple albums like Headless Cross, TYR, or Tears, if I'm correct, that's how it's pronounced. Forbidden, Cross Purposes, But a lot of people saying, this is not Black Sabbath without Ozzy or Dio. Sorry, Charlie. No can do. Where's Geezer? Where's Bill Ward? Give us a break, I remember Ronnie James Dio in an interview one time said about the whole thing. He did say, if what Tony Iommi's doing with the Sabbath name right now doesn't land him in hell, I don't know what will. Because a lot of people were saying it was just a fraud. In fact, there's a story back in Detroit, that tour, that Glenn Hughes was fucked up on the drugs and alcohol. And apparently he fucked up on the lyrics. I forgot which was. I think it may have been the song Black Sabbath. But either way, a lot of people were saying, this was an atrocity. This was not, it's just not Black Sabbath, But Tony Iommi kept that going on for a couple of years, like I said, until they reunited with Ronnie James Dio there. And of course, a couple of times in the 90s, when they finally decided to get back together with Ozzy and Geezer. Bill Ward would, of course, join them a year later. And of course,
Well, then there was Deep Purple, who technically they only have one original member left. But people were happy with they were okay with changes for the most part in that group.
Yeah, true. And they still got, I guess, the only original member, I guess, now is Ian Pace, the drummer, if I am correct.
Yep.
Yeah, because Ian Gillan and Roger, I guess, Ian Gillan is not the original frontman.
Nope. In fact, Mark 1, 2 of those guys were gone after their third album.
Yep.
Semper and I forget the name of the other one.
Right there. But yeah, those were the guys that sang on the first 3 albums that came out on Bill Cosby's label back in the 60s there, before they got signed to Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Mark 2's the one that
had the most hits, the most recognition, and the most recognized. And of course, I guess now the thing is, the problem is, according to many people, it's like, for those diehards out there, they just want to hear the songs as it was. They like to hear those songs one more time there. It would have been nice, but now a lot of these bands who do does this, they say they often do it for the fans. I know Bobby Blotzer, the ex-drummer of Rat, he had the name Rat with him for a couple years. I guess around 2015 and 16 there, 17. He had the name to himself because I guess what it was is that they had a corporation going on the side called WBS Incorporated, meaning Warren, Bobby, and Stephen. Warren being Warren D. Martini, Bobby Blotzer, and Stephen Piercy. They had a corporation on the side, and I guess Blotzer took control of that corporation and decided, keep going as Rat with a whole new lineup because the name carries a lot of good merit. People would rather see Rat other than the Bobby Blotzer project.
Yeah.
And of course, go ahead, Herb.
Well, a lot of groups that from the 60s and 70s that did this, well, the main reason is because people kind of died.
Yeah, exactly, or just don't have the skill to do it no more there. Now, going back to Rat, Stephen Piercy, bassist Juan Crucier, and Warren D. Martini, their guitarists, they found out that their original corporation, known as the Rat Partnership, was never completely dissolved. Apparently, it was still going on underneath their noses. They decided, hey, we have voting rights. We can vote. We can gain control of the name with this, so which they did. They voted Bobby Blotzer out of the group. He's been exiled from any further Rat doings there. Blotzer tried to take the band to court, up to the Supreme Court, and he failed, unfortunately, there. Now, Rat is just Stephen Piercy and Juan Crucier and three new guys. A new drummer, two new guitar players, and a lot of people are saying, what the fuck is going on? This is what the members of Rat I thought was supposed to be against.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how that works out at the end.
I don't know. I know. It's like a lot of radio shows were talking about that. What the fuck is going on? I know Eddie Trunk probably had a few things to say about that. I know Don Dokken, the lead singer of the band Dokken, was not too thrilled about Blotzer having the Rat name there. But then again, when you look at his group, he's the only original member of that band. Now, the guitarist George Lynch, who played with them since day one, he often makes appearances with the band now and then. They're doing some songs, some old classics as an encore here and there. But the thing is, Dokken and Lynch do not see eye to eye. So them getting together, revising Dokken with drummer Mick Brown or Jeff Pilson, the bassist, is kind of like no can do. Pilson is a member of Foreigner currently, and Mick Brown decided to retire from drums. He decided to retire from the drum playing, I guess.
Yeah. Another group that's still touring under the name, and this one's a weird one. There was a group in the 60s called the Grassroots.
Yes, I remember them.
They're still touring as the Grassroots, and they have no original members.
Wow, that is that's a complete rip-off right there.
Well, most of the original members are dead, but still.
Wow. I guess the management has the rights to the name, if I'm correct.
I guess so. It would be like somebody touring as Frank Sinatra. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, precisely. Like, for instance, the guy who started the Village People. I forgot his name there. He was a gay French dude. I guess the ex-lover of this gay French dude who died of AIDS somewhere in the 80s there. This other guy owns the name Village People, Lock, Bottom, and Center there. He has the right to remove who he wants and who he can in that group there, just as long as they know how to sing, look macho, so-and-so, blah, blah, and of course know the songs and dress up in the original characters that the original Village People dressed in back in the day there.
Which that pretty much makes it a tribute sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what the thing is. That's a trend going on with these kind of bands. When there's no original members left, it's often regarded as a tribute band. Now, we mentioned Foreigner. We all know that guitarist Mick Jones, one of the co-founders of the band, he's the only original member left in his current lineup, and he doesn't even really perform with the group sometimes because of health issues, if I'm understanding there. So
Yeah.
to go out to go out and expect to hear the songs, but there's no original guys, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this?" But the problem is, most of the people just want to hear those old songs like "Cold as Ice," "Feels Like the First Time," "Waiting for a Girl Like You," "That Was Yesterday," "I Want to Know What Love Is." That's what I want to hear. Those songs.
Another group that's kind of semi going through the same thing that only has one original member that plays all the time with them now is
Yeah,
Styx.
yeah,
Because Tommy Shaw's not an original member. He joined after
that's
the
true. There,
fifth album.
yes, James J. Y. Young.
Yep, he's it.
Yeah.
Because the Pinozzo guy only plays part time because of his health issues.
Yeah, but Chuck Panozzo,
Then,
yeah, he's HIV positive, by the way.
yeah, and the other one died long ago.
Yeah, John, his brother John, who was a drummer at that time.
And
Dennis
Dennis
DeYoung,
DeYoung is in persona non grata. He's not welcome.
exactly, because apparently, and the reason for that, as we mentioned, is because apparently what it was is that it was my way or the highway. The guys just wanted to rock. They wanted to play some good rock and roll. Dennis Young wanted to make it Phantom of the Opera, all the theatrics we can have. I mean, every record, they kind of like were trying to have every record a concept album. Like, apparently Paradise Theater was a concept album.
Yep,
Kilroy was definitely a
that
concept
was
album
that was definitely They
a
even made that
Sabbath.
into a theater
A
show.
move exactly. They tried to do that, and then the people just couldn't stomach it. I mean, come on. If that was me personally, they would have had just do the songs as sticks, and have clips of the movie play out in between some songs here and there. Like a couple of songs, then a clip from this movie, a couple of more songs, then a clip from this movie. Continue the storyline throughout the concert. That would have been fine and dandy. But no, Mr. DeYoung had to be like, I want to be the star of Broadway. Let's do theaters, boys. I mean, like, and it just didn't cut the cheese, unfortunately. You know, even Tommy Shaw said that what was he going to do after Detroit? Said, like, check it to the hospital. And that's when Styx decided to take that long ass break. Of course, he came back without Tommy Shaw. He went on to put together Damn Yankees with Ted Nugent and Jack Blades, a Night Ranger.
Yeah, I think they only did one album without him though.
Yeah, Edge of the Century. That came out in 1990. And funny thing, the lead single from that record, Show Me the Way, kind of like became one of the theme songs for the first Gulf War, which happened in the following year. And another song, of course, we can't forget another song that became another anthem for that period, Praying for Time by George Michael.
Yeah.
And also, I got to throw in this, the Turtles. Remember, we know them. Back around 1986, when the Monkees were riding high, thanks to that MTV Monkees all day on Sunday afternoon,
Right.
the Monkees became big again. Their albums started being released. They decided to go on tour without Houston's old Mike Nesmith. He was busy with his work and
Right.
projects here and there. So there was Peter, Davey, and Mickey.
Right. And help. They did never.
Exactly.
They weren't considered members.
No,
I actually saw him on that tour.
yeah. I bet the girls were like going crazy because they were like the main thing at that time. They were featured in teeny bop magazines here and there. In
Well, I'm
fact,
talking about the later tour
oh, okay, there.
with Mickey, Davey, and Peter.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to as well, because
It's
they became teen idols again.
yeah. I can't remember what the year was,
It
but
was in
I
it was in
had
'86.
I had. Well, this was back in the day when baseball games they used to play concerts after the game,
Yes.
and I had gone to a baseball game and they had the Grassroots, Monkeys, and Gary Puckett in the Union Gap,
Ah,
and with a little concert thing there.
I
Pretty
see
neat.
there. No, that's good. Interesting. Now, the Monkeys, one of their opening acts was, of course, the Turtles. The only problem was, it was just Flo and Eddie with a bunch of new guys backing them up.
Well, Flo and Eddie were generally the Turtles, but
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
yeah. So a lot of these '60s acts, they decide they go on tour, but it's usually one original member. I think even Jolie Mullen, who later joined the band Badfinger, he now has Joey Mullen's Badfinger on tour a couple occasionally there.
Holy cow!
I know. That's like,
If
are
you
you
don't
giving
have
me a
Havin'
break?
Evans, you don't have the bad finger.
Exactly. They were basically the bad in Badfinger, needless to say there. And unfortunately, because of all the management problems they were having left and right, they decided, to end it all, take
Well,
their own lives.
it's kind of ironic because it'd be like the Beatles with four new guys.
Exactly.
Come on, you know.
Or better yet, Paul McCartney, or yet Ringo Starr getting three new guys and going out as the Beatles.
Yeah, because I mean, essentially Paul McCartney did it, but didn't use the Beatle name.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He decided to call his new group Wings, which was a smart thing. And another smart thing, as I mentioned, he formed a corporation called MPL Communications, which owns the rights of his solo work and with Wings as well there. So, and of course, I think now a lot of bands out there, you may question, the reason why they decide to carry on. What's the real point of going on? Would you just hang it up and do something else? We know the reason. The money.
It's all about the money.
Absolutely. They say up and say they're doing this for the fans. They're doing this for the people out there who still appreciate the music. Bullshit. They do it because there's money to be made from the band name.
Yeah, because the true fans of the band are going, what?
Yeah. For example, the Coasters, the guys who did, Yankee Yak, Don't Look Back,
Hmm.
Charlie Brown. Some moose. I remember seeing a story about this years back on I guess it was one of those Inside Edition shows or a current affair. You may remember those programs years
Hmm.
ago. They were talking about how a management has an all new lineup of the Coasters when it's not the original members, and they had the reporter confront one of the members of the Coasters, along with the wife of one of the original Coasters. And I guess I'm not too sure how the conversation went about afterwards, but either way, it's just it's kind of it just isn't right. And of course, we cannot forget John K and Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that happened for a big reason. Some management and sorts or some record label or management approached the members of Steppenwolf, but without John K, and decided, hey, let's have Steppenwolf reunite and do some tours and shows together, a couple albums as well. But it was Steppenwolf without John K, and we all know John K is the soul and the voice of Steppenwolf. No doubt about that.
There's no Steppenwolf without John Kay.
Exactly. John K hears about this. He throws a damn fit. He was going to take him to court. Now he went. Now, believe it or not, he confronted Nick St. Nicholas, the bass player, who wasn't the original bass player, and keyboard organ player Goldie McLeod. I guess that's his
Hmm.
last name, if I'm correct.
Goldie. Oh, yeah.
Goldie, yeah, thank you. They told him he got those two to sign some papers. I guess one of them says they say now they should have never signed, given all ownership to John Kay. He took his new band, which was now called John K and Steppenwolf, out on the tour. They released a couple of albums there. One of them was, I remember hearing the title cut from a soundtrack, Rock and Roll Rebels. But they still do tours as, of course, John K and Steppenwolf. In Germany, they're really big because John K is German
Right.
born, as you know there. Now, Nick St. Nicholas, he tried many times, to reconcile with John, but no can do there. And the fact that when he does a show with a bunch of other ex-members of famous bands, like this new lineup features a former bass player of Toto, the former singer of Steppenwolf, or the former drummer of Journey. It's like, I guess what I understand, Nicholas has no right to use even the Steppenwolf name because he has no ownership of it. And John K made that point across and clear. But John, but and how Nick St. Nicholas is, he feels he's people gotta know who he is because he was one of the bass players of that group there, not the original one as I stated. But it's just at the same time, ownership of a name is like it's a big deal there. It's a very big deal because this name will carry a lot of merit.
It's kind of like the Yardbirds.
Yeah. Like if you say is there only one original member in the Yardbirds, if I'm correct?
Right now, I think that's the case because Keith Relf died.
We know that, yes.
And all the guitarists are gone.
Yeah. Well, come on, we all know. All three are still, the main ones we know are still alive, Clapton, Page, and Beck there.
And their bass player is Chris Draja. I don't know if he's, no, that was a rhythm guitarist.
Yeah. And I guess the bass player later became a photographer. I guess he shot the back cover of Led Zeppelin 1, if I'm correct there.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, I don't know. I guess it's the other guitar. I don't know I don't really know much about the Yardbirds myself there. I know we did a show on them many, many months back there. But, but the Yardbirds name, as we all know, along with all the big names that we mentioned, carry a lot of merit, carry a lot of good weight. They're able to draw in lots of money from all these fans, paying tickets to see them. They get a lot of good money from the management and stuff there.
Yeah, well, the Yardbirds, actually, Jimmy Page tried to use that name with his new group, the New Yardbirds.
Yeah, that's true there.
And of course, we knew who they became.
Absolutely, thanks to Keith Moon, who made a remark saying that the band will sink like a lead balloon. Huh.
Yep.
That's kind of... Yeah, that's right.
In fact, he was slated to be a member of the New Yardbirds for a while, except it wasn't supposed to be a new group. He was supposed to just play on one of the albums or whatever.
I see there. Now, speaking of the Who, let's say Roger Daltrey dies now. Would Pete Townshend get ownership of the name and go on as the Who?
I seriously doubt he would do that, but he might.
Especially when the Who name still carries a lot of big weight, with a lot of fans out there.
Of course, the name Pete Townshend carries a lot of weight too.
Absolutely,
he's the kind of guy who could pretty much go on his own.
Yeah, he has, and he did. He released many solo records. I guess he did a couple of solo shows as well there.
Yeah, there are some band members that can leave a band and go out on their own and not use the band name.
Yeah, Phil Collins.
Yeah, well, Roger Waters tried to take the Pink Floyd name but couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely, and that would have been now that's the thing that I just don't really understand. You left Pink Floyd, You're tired of all the bullshit that was going on, being a human jukebox, playing only the hits and the hits only that the mainstream public only knows. You know, you try to put on set the controls for the heart of sun to someone who only knows "Wish You Were Here." They'll be like, huh. They have to
Yeah.
play the hits, the hits, the hits, the hits, the hits, the hits, the hits. It gets tiresome after a while, and you begin to resent your audience for that. If Roger Waters were to get ownership of the name and go on as Pink Floyd, as he claims that he was Pink Floyd, that he said in those interviews back in the day, around that, which was 1987, people would say, bullshit. This is not Pink Floyd. I mean, David Gilmour was the brawn behind Pink Floyd's sound. Roger was the brain. Gilmour was the brawn. It would have been, and I'm sorry, but no one could play Pink Floyd better than Nick Mason when it comes to drumming. And they had no right to get rid of Richard Wright, but of course that was Roger Waters' doing as well there.
Roger Waters was among one of your early dictators in the music field.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that he was known to being a complete control freak at that time there. And the thing is, some people, I guess now Waters is deciding, like, fuck it, I was never big than Pink Floyd. I was never bigger than them, Pink Floyd simply got back together as Pink Floyd, got ownership of the name, went on tour as the Floyd, and became a success. Momentary Lapse of Reason because went to number one. The tour was Division Bell also went to number one as well there. And of course, Gilmour, Mason, and Wright there, they definitely pulled the ultimate revenge against their former bassist.
Mm-hmm. Hey, another group I just happen to think of they only have 2 original members left.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to notice.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones.
No, really? I thought it was, because I know...
Jagger and Richards are it.
Yeah, I know. Ron Wood didn't join the group until 1974 or 75 on the Black and Blue album.
3rd or 4th rhythm guitarist.
Yeah, Brian Jones, Mick Tugger came before him.
Of course, Charlie Watts is dead and Bill Wyman's retired.
I know. Now, so now the Stones is now a trio there, as we all know there.
Jagger Richards is it.
Absolutely there. Yeah. And which kind of funny is that, it's kind of hard to imagine a group that we know in so many years as a quartet or a 5-piece cut down to either a dual or a 3-piece, But then again, a lot of in these circumstances, that has to happen,
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
your mic went out for a couple of seconds there.
Yeah, of course, most of the groups in the 60s, heck, they got a good reason for not having them. We just discussed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they got to make that money. Most of them are dead. Either are probably too ill or not able to play no more because of this condition or that physical condition. It's just I also got to bring this up.
If the Kinks tour nowadays, Ray Davies is it, but I don't even think they tour.
I don't know if they do anything. But, well,
of course, Ray Davies is the Kinks, but
yeah,
still,
absolutely. But his brother Dave, who was the lead guitarist, he had a stroke years back,
and he's the one that contributed a lot of their, the guitar work in a lot of their songs, like All Day and All Night, You Really Got Me.
Yep. Lola. All those classics like Catch Me Now I'm Falling, Superman, State of Confusion, Come Dancing.
Jukebox Music.
Absolutely there,
Rock and Roll Fantasy.
Yep. Gallon of Gas. which was written about what was going on in America at that time. If you remember that year when Jimmy Carter was president there,
Yeah.
that was oh man. But I got to bring this one up as well. Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Hmm.
Now, keep in mind, back in I guess forgot year was, there was a couple of shows that were being held in Detroit and across the nation there at the Joe Louis Arena or Cobo Hall. I forgot what it was. But it was Diana Ross with two new different Supremes. No Mary Wilson, no Cindy Birdsong, and certainly, of course, no Florence Ballard because, she passed away in whichever year I forgot. Mary Wilson was not too happy about the whole thing there. I guess the idea is that people still want to see Diana Ross with the Supremes. So once again there, I don't know whose idea was it, but a lot of people are calling foul about that, It's just Diana Ross with two new Supremes there, where the two ladies that we mentioned, well, obviously Mary Wilson was exiled because, she wrote a book, I guess where she kind of like slammed Ross in a few ways there. Ross was not happy about that. It's like, how dare she say this about me there?
Well,
And I
the
guess
story originally was that when the Supremes were starting, Diana Ross was not supposed to be the lead singer. It was
really?
supposed to
I
be,
never knew it.
I believe it's supposed to be Mary Wilson. But at any rate, Diana Ross, for lack of a better way to say it, slept her way into the role from what people say.
And I guess, her and Berry Gordy, Motown's founder, had a little fling going on there, obviously there. And from what I understand, they may have had a kid together. Now, I don't know if that kid happens to be the one that would later call himself Rockwell, who had that one hit song, Somebody's Watching Me, or not. I'm not too sure about that, but I got to look. You know what? I should probably look that up while we're on the subject.
Yeah, it's always kind of funny to me because Diana Ross, to me, has a thin, reedy voice. It's not full. It sounds like I can't say exactly. I've never been a Diana Ross fan.
Never.
I mean, some of the songs are okay and all, but her voice sounds nasally and thin and not that good. And Mary Wilson had a great voice.
Yeah.
But
okay, let me look up Rockwell, singer. Well, he's the one that, as I mentioned, that song, Somebody's Watching Me, that was a big hit back in the day there. All right. Kenneth William Gordy, better known as his stage name, Rockwell, is a singer-songwriter. He's best known for his 1984 song, Somebody's Watching Me, which features Michael Jackson. Okay, let me look up here who is his blah, blah, blah here. He was the son of Motown founder Berry Gordy, and it doesn't reveal who the mother was. Other relatives include Rhonda Ross Kendrick, Red Foo, and Sky Blue, but they are his half siblings and half nephew respectively. So it's basically Barry Kenneth William Gordy, the son, of course, Berry Gordy, and he's still active today there. Of course, and it doesn't say who his mother is, but either way, who knows? All right. But either way, gosh, either way, back to the main subject here. Money is always a motive. We all know that. And when a band gets well known, they become a big hit back then all of a sudden break apart for whichever reason. A couple members die off, from the overdoses or physical conditions like cancer, arthritis. Then that's it. The group is gone. All we have are the memories of us seeing them live or listening to their albums. Now, some comes along, some big shot, management. decides, hey, let's put together a reunion of this band here. We'll offer big money to the members, see if they're still around, they still want to play. Because they'll obviously go take it because, they're not doing anything. They're just living off of royalty checks from their record labels there. They would like to earn some extra money, get back on the road. And then, of course, they find out that many of the members had passed on, except for one or two original members. So they had to get together with those two original members, offer them make them a deal. Let's get some new guys, and then it will go on tour under the original name.
Yeah, that's happened more than once.
Exactly. A lot of because there's money to be made. And like I said, a lot of these musicians from yesteryear are not really doing anything. Some of them are working full-time jobs. They went back to the 9-to-5 routine there. And I guess, to see their old band name being used by someone else with a whole bunch of new guys, it's like, wait a minute. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And the thing that makes the thing that's really atrocious to us, the fans, is like, this is not the band we once knew. This is not the band I used to see, that I used to know. And that's not what the band I used to see back in the day. Let me give you another example. Sweet.
Yeah.
In 1990, Sweet kind of reunited. It was Mick Tucker and Andy Scott without Steve Priest or banjo bassist. And of course, Brian Conley, who at that time was very ill. He was in the hospital in Australia. They got a new singer, new bass player, a backup keyboard player, but he wasn't really a full member of the group. He was just backup, as Ozzy Osbourne has with this keyboard player now and then. They went on as a Sweet reunion tour. They played the Ritz in Roseville. Massive, big, successful show. That place, the whole show rocked. They played a lot of good stuff there. The songs like AC/DC, Ballroom Blitz, No You Don't, Set Me Free. I don't remember if they played Little Willie, or anything else there. But it was a damn good show. I was able to get a couple autographs from the current bass player, Andy Scott, as well as Mick Tucker there. Almost 3 years later, Sweet comes back to the Ritz in Roseville, but it's Andy Scott's Sweet. It was 5 guys, and they were playing some new original songs like Stand Up, this song here, that song, but it wasn't that big of a deal. It's like, why is it Andy Scott's Sweet?
Yeah, why didn't he just name it Scott or something?
Exactly there. Well, obviously, for the obvious reason. Yeah. Nobody wants to see Andy Scott. They want to see Sweet. They could call it, Andy Scott's Sweet Review, but that's kind of like that's more of a tribute than the tribute that we see on stage now.
Yeah.
And that's not going to go fly by everyone as well there.
Now, another group that, in a way, did it right are the Moody Blues.
Ah.
Now, Justin Hayward and John Lodge are not technically original members, but when you talk about the classic Moody Blues,
yep, those two
are
the only ones left.
Yeah, and they don't tour, and nobody tours. I mean, they
called it quits after Graham Edge died.
They toured with Edge. They toured with Edge for a while with a new flutist who was a female. I forget her name or who she was. But after he died, it was kind of like, it's time to quit. And they did it right for the most part. They didn't just... Justin Hayward and John Lodge, although they were the Blue Jays, didn't do anything as the Moody Blues anymore because to them, everybody's gone.
Dead. Exactly. Mike Pinder, he's still alive, but he is. I guess there was a massive fallout between the Moody's and him. Graham Edge is dead. Ray Thomas is dead. And I don't know if those the two ever got a chance to reconcile with Piner or anything like that. Like from what I understand, him and Hayward were writing a song and they were really getting into this. Graham Edge tried to interrupt and say, "Hey guys, hey," and out of the blue, Piner says, no, he's like, "Shut up! You're only just a drummer. You're blah blah blah," and that escalated into a big ass fight. And then Piner, in a couple of interviews, said, he's been trying to get a hold of this person to tell Graham he was very sorry that he said that he did that to him. But yet, why couldn't Piner approach Graham Edge himself and tell him, "Hey, man, I was wrong to do that. Please forgive me."
Yeah.
But then again, we don't know how Graham Edge would feel about being said something like that. Like, come on. He may have been really hurt by that robot because he wasn't just a drummer. He also wrote some amazing poetry with the group just as well there.
Yeah, almost every album, not every album, but almost every album, he had a poetry bit somewhere.
The balance, from a question of balance, the poems in beginning and end of Days of Future Past, in the beginning on the Threshold of a Dream, the Voyage on the In Search of the Lost Chord, the beginning of that album, he did that, and he did that perfectly well. Also, forget the void. Also, forget that scenario that he was. It was before they did. I forgot the name of the poem he read, but it came right before. Are you sitting? What am I talking about? Have you heard? That's the song I was singing about there, from the Threshold of a Dream.
Right.
Yeah, he was more than just a drummer, And I guess, Moody's, as we know, decided to call it quits. They made enough money. Let's do our thing here. Blah, blah, blah. Let's just go on our business, release solo records, possibly do a Blue Jay #2, possibly, because they released an album with that name back in the 70s there. I guess it was 74, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it was kind of, I think it was...
YR is here. I'm going to add you into
I think it was between Seventh Sojourn and Octave.
All right, there, yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to get YR on the call, and he'll have him add you into the mix, okay?
Who?
All right. YR.
I know.
Calling right now. All right. Well, Betty, I'll add him into the call there.
Okay.
Let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Should be calling in. Come on. Okay, let's do this. I'll get him to the call right now there. Let's hope here. Blah, blah, blah. He's there.
And he's here somewhere.
All right, there. Hopefully. There he is. YR, what's up, dude?
I don't hear him.
I don't hear him either. It's, I guess, give it a while there. Hopefully, should be...
Maybe he's on a 5-minute delay.
I don't know. Possibly. I don't know. His icon. His icon has that little lag in a swirl going around there. I don't know if it's that happening there. Oh, boy. Huh. Let's see here.
YR's twirling.
I know. I noticed that myself, man. I was like,
I don't see him at all.
I don't see him. Well, what the fuck? Let me see here. Tell you what. Let me see if I can get...
Maybe you need to hang up on me, call him, and then call me back.
Okay, better yet. Let me see here. Let me see if I can add him again first, and we'll try that again.
Okay.
All right, there. All right. Let me get there. Blah, blah, blah. Give me a... Okay, invite. Let me try this again. Wrong one. Let me get add participants. They got this whole thing set up a little bit more oddly there. Okay, I'll hang up on you and I'll get the YR. See how that works.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see if we.
I'm still here, but I'm not here.
Boom.
Hello.
Hello,
There
I'm
you are.
late. Sorry, I'm late. Just had to.
That's okay there.
You
The
missed a
damn
good show. No.
the grocery stores, they do the self checkout, so that takes forever.
Ah,
The
I
self.
know.
So we're on band. Well, quickly, I don't know if you talked about a couple news bits. Did you already?
No, not yet. We would. Well, we was gonna. Well, I know you sent us an article about White Snake and what's
Yeah, we don't have to read the article. Just basically, Scorpions and Whitesnake are doing a U.S. tour.
nice.
Very nice.
All right there.
They'll be
No
in
doubt.
Texas
They'll be
in
in-
September.
Nice. Cool.
David Coverdale, the whole nine, and then Priest. I was listening today that obviously they went Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they didn't get voted in ballot wise. They got put in a special category, just like Randy Rhoads did last year at Music Excellence Award, and that's just because the outcry from the fans and stuff. Like they didn't go through. They didn't get in by winning on the ballot system. They didn't have enough. But since the outcry, the Hall of Fame just did it because they can, and they did. So we'll see if the Tom Morello guy is on the ballot, like voters, like
Yes.
the voters on
Yes.
the board. And so he was saying that because last year Randy Rhoads got in, but under the Music Excellence Award, but they didn't have any live performances. Obviously, I mean he died, but there's no live performances and not really much to Tom Morello said a couple words, but not really a big thing. But Tom Morello said that Priest is going to get the same treatment as everyone else doing the live performance, blah blah blah. And I'm really, really, really optimistic to where like we will see the classic lineup of Priest. We're going to see KK out there. We're going to see do that performance.
That's good there. Yeah.
And
Maybe
and
this would be good.
That's going to turn into a tour. Watch, probably not with Glenn Tipton touring fully because last time he just did a couple songs. But
Yes.
if you have KK and Richie Faulkner playing guitar, for the twin guitars, that would be obviously the lineup. KK and Richie would have to learn Glenn's parts, but that's got to happen, bro.
Well, he actually did learn Glenn's parts when he first went on tour with Andy Sneap.
I guarantee you they're going to have in a couple years, KK's going to come back to Priest, watch, because of this Hall of Fame thing. Like
Right
this
there.
is huge, bro. And I'm telling y'all, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to be there at the show with Dr. Brown.
Yep. What would be cool is if they were to have KK, Faulkner, and Andy Sneap along on the whole tour. Priest is a 6-man lineup,
Right, but like people would. That's just another person that they would have to pay. Because Halford already wanted to do the one guitarist for the tour, and then the outcry from the fans, they're like, nah. So like,
I don't know that long. I don't know what Halford was thinking when he came up with that idea. I was like, hello.
You look at Dawkins, like Don Dawkins used to play rhythm guitar too.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't, but Priest is known for for that. But yeah, the big concert announcement with Scorpions. They just did they were in Vegas doing their whatever it's called there,
residency
there, and they sound really good. If you look them on YouTube, I mean, Klaus isn't as high pitch as he used to, but he still gets the notes. He's still, you know what I mean. It's still good. It's still worth.
That's good to hear because I think I mentioned this before. Going to the Motley Crue tour that I guess is probably happening right now, if I'm correct.
Oh, it'll be in Texas in I think it's August or September.
All right. It's going to be this big stadium tour with Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett, the Blackhearts. I have yet to hear any reviews on how Motley Crue's Vince Neil sounds currently there. Because at one time I even suggested, like if it gets to the point where Vince Neil's unable to sing like he used to, or his voice is completely shot all the fucking hell, they could possibly get John Corabi back in the group to do this tour there. But then again, the crew with John Corabi was not that appreciated.
Nah, they're gonna do Vince, and I was hearing like Def Leppard came out and they didn't need, they weren't the ones to get Motley come back to tour. Like it really was that Dirt movie coming out, which y'all need to watch because that's a great fucking movie. That's it's still on Netflix. And when that Dirt movie came out, a lot of younger generation, all younger people got into. They got a lot of publicity from that. So that's really what made
a lot of hype for that movie.
Really
People got into it.
I want to go to that show, but like, bro, fucking.
I know the money.
It's pricey.
Well, I heard about it on Facebook. A friend of mine back in Michigan, Mary, she was telling. I think I mentioned how much it cost. It was like way over $1,000. For the upper seats.
If you get, but there's sometimes you can get last minute, like a couple days before. Because I wouldn't pay for like nosebleeds for the highest seats. I wouldn't pay no more than like $100 personally.
Wow.
Because number one, it's in a baseball. They're all in baseball field stadiums, and like those in the damn football stadiums always sound horrible for concerts. Like it's really echoey because of the concrete. Like the is really like the basketball stadiums, but they're not going to see like Whitesnake and Scorpions will be in the basketball stadiums, Toyota Center, the Rockets play and all that.
Yep.
So the sound's always good in those where they have hockey, NHL and NBA stadiums, those type of arenas. I guess you would call it arena play, concerts. But like for those who at the field and shit, it's always too echoey, way too just. I don't like it. So that you got to keep in mind. It's not in a traditional venue. It's not a traditional concert like venue. You're at a damn baseball field. And it's going to be fucking packed because they're going to be floor seats all on that field. And the baseball field is huge. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be packed. You're looking at 4 different bands, too. It's not just you're paying all that money for one band. 4 different acts, major acts. Really, with Poison, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue. And personally, I would go there to see. Poison would be my favorite out of all those. I'm a big Bret Michaels guy, but obviously Crue. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would definitely go for the Crue because I was big on them in the early '80s when Shout at the Devil came out.
Leppard, I've seen them a couple times, but they tour like every year, so like you can always see Leppard. Like they're good. The one-armed drummer is still. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true there.
Let me go check on my food. Go ahead with the list, guys. Sorry.
Right there. Yeah, we were discussing all the bands that have 1 original members or 2 original members. There was a lot out of them. We discussed it Foreigner. We discussed it with Black Sabbath. Was the 1 original member themselves for a long while. Andy Scott Sweet. We discussed it. The Coasters. We discussed how management often gains ownership of the band name, usually from the 60s or the 50s there, and they often have all these new members come in, try to fill in the original spots, try to fill in those shoes. But a lot of times, a lot of people realize, what, this is not the original. Because otherwise, the original would not look this young.
Yeah. You would think people would realize, hey, this band was from the 60s. It can't be the same guys.
Exactly, yeah. And with like I said with John K and Steppenwolf, he can have a bunch of young guys play with him, but it's just John K. The main Steppenwolf that we know and love.
Yeah. And I think Goldie McJohn's dead anyway.
Goldie McJohn. Let me look that up on the internet there. Blah 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 there. Because if he is dead, it would be sad to know that he never got, any. He did say that he would like to also reconcile with John K. Goldie McJohn, I think it is. Let me see if I can say here. Let's see here. Canadian keyboard player Greg John Raymond Goldsby, better known as Goldie McJohn, was a Canadian keyboard player, better known as the original keyboardist for Steppenwolf. Yeah, he died in 2017 there. And
Yeah, I
says
thought I
here,
remembered that from when we were doing the tragic.
yes, I remember, yeah. And of course, this makes him the second member of Steppenwolf to pass away. Drummer Jerry Edmonton, he passed away. I forgot in what year it was. You know, he was 72 years old.
Mm,
He's from Toronto, Canada, and he died in Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, John K. Born John. Let me pronounce his first name there. Joachim Fritz Claude Dot. Better known as John Kay, is a German rock singer-songwriter for the frontman of Steppenwolf. We know him.
right.
And sadly, he has John Kay and Steppenwolf still running, going and doing shows. A lot of those retro shows
Yeah.
at times. Yeah.
Well,
And go ahead.
at least he's doing it semi right, because we all
Yeah.
know that John Kay is basically Steppenwolf, but
Yeah.
he didn't just come out as Steppenwolf.
Yeah. He kind of made a smart move when he added his name. Like Andy Scott Sweet that I mentioned, and of course I mentioned earlier before this, Jolie Mullins Badfinger. You know, hell, in fact, that Seventh Star by Black Sabbath that I mentioned back from '86, with only Tony Iommi as the main member, that was originally released it as Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi. I thought I remember seeing that at the record store. Like, huh? Really? I bought the cassette for it. It's like, wow,
What?
this is a this is a badass record, but it's not really Black Sabbath. I'll be honest with you there. Right? Did I hear YR?
All
Yeah.
right, so
Yep, there you are.
my pick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we're talking. Yeah, if you got a band.
All right, we'll throw in. You already threw in Foreigner, right?
Yes, we did. Yes.
All right. Um, I would consider. What do y'all think about the band Sublime? Because nowadays it's Sublime with Rome. Would you consider
Yeah.
that? So it was
Hmm.
always about Bradley Noyle, the lead singer. You know what I'm saying? Like it was
The
all about
singer guitar player. It's kind of odd. I guess they have to call themselves Sublime with Rome because
Right.
I guess there's some copyright issues there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You don't see a lot of '80s bands doing this stuff.
Mm,
Of course, the '80s bands was generally, outside of a few, one-hit wonders.
that's true there. Yeah.
For
Well,
some reason, in the '80s we liked the song and then we didn't like the rest of them. We liked the song and we didn't like the rest of them.
Yeah,
well, like
it's true.
ultimately in the '80s, like the singers, the front man, stuff like that. So like nowadays, just like Vince Neil does and Stephen Pearcy of Rat, they do like they do solo tours and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like the band like Rat, they've had um, so many combinations through the years. Ron Crucier,
Yeah.
bassist, many others.
Warren D. Martini, drummer Bobby Blotzer, who, as I mentioned earlier, had the name for himself around 2015 and 16. He toured as Rat with four new other guys until the members of the three guys, Crucier, Piercy, and D. Martini, got the name back and expelled Blotzer from the partnership.
So what I was saying was, and that's a good point. What I was saying, like I'm trying to get to here is really, if you think about it, obviously there's bands that have famous bass players, guitarists, drummers, but there's a lot of bands that it's more towards the singer that's has more fanfare and popularity. Like Scott Stapp of Creed. You
Yeah.
know, that's a big name when you hear stuff. People want to see. I was the voice of Creed. Obviously, other members made the band Alter Bridge,
Yep.
Money and others. So, like, I think ultimately, especially the '80s bands, Tom Kiefer. Tom Kiefer. He goes out as Tom Kiefer of Cinderella. That's
That's true there.
Tom Kiefer of Cinderella. So that has the big Cinderella logo, but it's Tom Kiefer. You know what I'm saying? Which
Cinderella's Tom Kiefer. That's how it's
right.
billed as.
I mean, so at the end of the day, I personally think the singer makes, and if they can still do it, and if they're still touring, the singer ultimately always, because I always hated, like Skid Row, they replaced Sebastian Bach, and I don't like when they replace singers that really the band is what it is because of the singer, of the front man.
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, bands like Van Halen, it's a different story. Big singer, big front man, but the guitarist it's really Eddie that was Van Halen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really, I mean, what? Go on with your list because I'm trying to think of other bands. I know Sublime.
Well, by the way, I should point out the new singer that Skid Row has right now. He does a pretty good
Yeah,
job
you
at
heard that
channeling
right.
Sebastian. Yes, I have. Yes, absolutely. There, he does a good job there. And I doubt it very much that Sebastian Bach will reunite with a Skid Row because Skid Row said it a couple of times that he was too much trouble to deal with.
Yeah.
I guess one of their ex-members said they had to spend lots of money just to keep Bach out of jail here and there.
Wow.
Because he was always getting himself in a lot of trouble here and there. He was like one of those, yeah, dude, I party all the time there. I do a lot of stuff here. And in the meantime, here, he was a body here. He let himself ass go. He ended up on Celebrity Fit Club, for I understand, later on.
Well, before I forget, and this is it's a fact, but I really think the one band that started all this shit, in a way it is, and in a way it's not, but Kiss kind of started all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, they come back, I mean, they have the original lineup for all these years, blah, 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 and then they come back with these, I mean,
Two
Ace
new guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
was important, bro. Ace Frehley was important in Kiss.
he
It really
was, yeah. And Peter Chris.
Peter Chris, but like, bro, like them guitars, when he bends this, like all this type of shit he does, like, you know what I mean? He can't really, I don't know. It's
The
just,
smoky guitar as well there.
yeah, like Kiss really started this shit to where it's like, yeah, it's the same, it's the band, but really like not, you know what I mean? If you really think about it, like, because everyone else, even the Beatles, like they all did their solo stuff. They never had Paul McCartney of the, he had his own solo career, songs, Wings, all that.
Yeah, all of them did.
Really, Kiss is that one is the one band that really started this whole. Oh, let's kind of tour. Let's tour.
Well, actually, that may have started with the band I just mentioned a while ago, Black Sabbath. You remember back I mentioned from '86 to '91, and again in '94 to '95.
Well,
Remember,
technically,
Tony.
Black Sabbath only dropped their lead vocal.
Yeah,
The
but
other
by the
three members
1980,
stayed.
yeah, until about 1985.
Yeah.
With the lineup for the Seventh Star and tour for that album was Iommi, Glenn Hughes on vocals, Mark Spitz on bass guitar, Eric Singer, who would later join Kiss, on drums, and Jeff Nichols on keyboards. And for this follow-up record, Internal Idol, which sucked donkey balls. I did not like that at all. It just said was both Tony Martin and Tony Iommi, and a whole bunch of different guys playing bass on this song, drums on that song, bass on this other track there and here and there, and just we've already settled on with the Headless Cross lineup, which was Iommi, Martin, Neil Murray from Whitesnake, and Cozy Powell on drums, also from Whitesnake as well there.
I was looking. I'm sorry.
Go ahead there.
Well, I was looking up another group because I was sure they didn't have any original members left, and I was wrong. The group is Ambrosia. They have 3 of their original members left, and really the only significant one's gone is Pack, and because he lost his hearing.
Oh, wow. That's right. I remember he had that virus years ago there.
But they had 3 of the original members still, which I was kind of like, whoa. I mean, still.
There. about David Pack losing his hearing because you need your ears to not only hear what you're playing, hear what you're singing, but also you need that, especially when you're trying to produce, when you're in the production booth there,
Right.
let alone the soundboard.
And Pack was a big part of Ambrosia, but
Yeah, he
there
wrote
was,
those old hit songs.
like Christopher North and Puerta, I forget his first name, Joe,
Ooh, I got a couple good ones.
and
All right.
Burley Drummond. But I was surprised. I was like, 3 of them.
Nice. Okay, so would y'all consider this one Grateful Dead back then? Now it's Dead and Company. Dead and
Yeah, I
Company.
know.
Well,
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
it's Bob Year, Phil Leach, and a couple. I don't know if it's Mickey Hart as well, but who knows? I guess he got some of the other members of the Dead, and they go, they're touring, as you said, Dead and Company, because there's still money to be made on the Grateful Dead. Fans still want to see the Dead perform, but they can't do it as the Grateful Dead because the main Dead man is, of course, dead.
They have
Jerry Garcia.
They have what's his name playing guitar, John Mayer, with them a lot.
Oh wow!
Like there was,
That's
I was reading he played. It's like one show. I think it was one show or something. Probably Madison Square Garden, like a big venue. But like he played Jerry Garcia's one of his guitars, his famous guitar.
Oh wow, nice.
I actually got to play that. So, but yeah, that would, it's kind of like, oh, that's all you really get nowadays. So if you're a Grateful Dead person, you got to go to those shows. And I wonder if like the true Deadheads go to those shows. Probably, right?
Probably do, yeah, because at least it's some of the main members of the Dead, like Weir, Leash, Lesh, and a couple others in there, yeah.
I believe it's not like a documentary on the fans of the Grateful Dead. Like it's got to be like a true big documentary because that was a big thing.
I know, yeah, exactly. You talk about the tailgate parties that Jimmy Buffett had. The Dead had their own tailgate parties as well.
Yeah.
Huh. And so I understand we're pretty massive just as well there. Instead of margaritas, it was LSD, an acid. And pretty much there'll probably be a tailgate parties for the Dead and Company shows.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, because of course I know obviously their popularity definitely tripled thanks to around the 1990s, thanks to all these other jam bands like the Spin Doctors and such there. Yeah.
Well, Dan, there's another one that surprises me.
Well, what? Who?
The band.
Oh.
When they disbanded.
The
band.
That's right, yeah.
When they disbanded, they still had 3 of their original members.
And I guess the main members, I guess, right now, is Levon Helm, the drummer.
Rick Danko.
Rick Danko, the bass player.
And Garth Hudson.
Garth Hudson.
No,
Garth
not
Hudson,
Garth Brooks.
Yeah, my bad. I was thank you for correcting me on it. Garth Hudson, you remember a song called "The Walls Came Down" by a band called The Call from the 80s?
Not really.
Da 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 da.
The wall. Yeah, I do remember it. I'm sorry.
Yes. Garth Hudson is not only on the track, he's also in the video as well there.
But that was another band that, and you got to kind of tribute bands that stayed together, that their only members that leave them die. I mean, it's kind of like, wow.
Well, I got to throw this one here. This group, this well-known 80s group, Tears for Fears, Rowan Orzabal, and Kurt Smith. Smith left Tears for Fears for a good number of years, leaving Orzabal to have the Tears for Fears name. I guess he released a couple albums under that name until Kurt Smith decided to come back. I think there was a song called "Break It Down" that came out. I guess it came out in 1990 or 91 or 92, which that song came out there. Hmm. I gotta look that up sometime soon there, just out of curiosity. But you know, it's something a lot of times, usually the main member of that particular 80s group out there usually comes back with the name, or you have to come by with something close to the name, like
Right.
the singer from that band when in Rome. They had this one hit song called "The Promise," and I guess this nightclub in Houston had him, the singer from that band, perform there at that club sometime, and he was billed as the voice of "When in Rome." And of course, he's looking how he's looking right now, almost bald with the reverse mohawk look that he has there, kind of like, and some of that was what Bill Cosby described it when you were starting to bald on top there. But, kind of funny, it's usually it has to be, I guess the reason they do this, as we all know, is the money.
It's
There's
weird to
money
me
to
how
be
many
made.
groups, how many people tour as a group that had one, maybe two hit songs. It's kind of like, what's the point?
I know. It's kind of, I guess what it is that they want to tour, they want to make money, they want to relive the old days that they had in the 80s, but it's kind of difficult because, that popularity has died down. Fans have moved on to the next.
Yeah.
What I want to bring up here,
Well, hold on, let me
and
go.
this really pees me off about go ahead, Wire.
Well, go ahead, because
Well, because I wanted to mention this, like, let's say, let me take a band that had a couple of hit songs from 1988 to 1990, Warrant. As you know, they had hit songs like Uncle Tom's Cabin, Cherry Pie, Down Boys, Heaven, I Saw Red, Sometimes She Cries. Those were good songs. That were big hits there for that band. All of a sudden, the alternative stuff comes in, and people start listening to Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, and the band Warrant is like, oh, okay, what do we? Obviously, the priority shift has changed big time. Now they have to resort to continuing to play in bowling alleys and small nightclubs or dives. They get dropped by the record label because they're no longer the big thing, and they'll be like, where happened to our fans? The fans who used to love us years ago. The fans who loved us back then when we had those hit songs out there. Sadly to say, those fans.
Jane,
What's up?
what's the lead singer's name? Jane. It's like a girl's name. Jane.
Janie Lane. He passed away in 2011. He had a massive record of drug and alcohol issues, and they caught up with him. Those fans out there were just fans of Warrant for that time because they were the trending thing on the charts and at the time on MTV. And the majority of those fans were just mainstream. Whatever's popular right now in the mainstream, that's the one to go to. All that dubstep music that was big in the early 2000s, that's the thing to go to there. Follow the trend.
Like, I don't have a mind of my own. I'm going to follow what everybody else does.
Absolutely. And this hurts the band Warrant because it just lets them know. It's like, geez, didn't we have fans back there? Or what? This means that we never really. Oh gosh, dude, what the fuck? Now keep in mind there are still diehard 80 fans out there that appreciate the band's music. I mean, like you could go to the Token Lounge in Westland, Michigan, or Harpo's Concert Theater in Detroit, Michigan, or any other venue in LA, where it's the Rainbow, or this other venue, the Whiskey Go Go. If that was still running, I think that place closed down many years back there. Or the Palladium in New York City, or the Ritz in New York City there. You go in there, you see all these old 80s bands. You still have the diehards there. Though there's not as much as there were back in the day there, but you still have them to relive the music, to say hi to the band, see if they remember them from years back, But the mainstream people out there who liked only the hit songs back then, they're the ones who are to blame for mostly the bands, going from big theaters and arenas to nightclubs or dives. Because, like we all said, they don't have minds of their own. They just go, what's trending? Which pisses me the fuck off because, there's a lot more than just the hit songs. There's probably a hidden other tracks on that Cherry Pie record that were a lot more kick-ass than the title cut itself.
Well, here's another band that doesn't have but one original member,
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Skinnard.
Oh, Gary
And
Washington.
And they still tour.
Yeah, as Leonard Skinnard. Even though everyone else has either left or moved on, Artemis Pyle ain't involved with them.
Of course, you have Ronnie's.
Ronnie's younger brother, Johnny.
That's a link, but it's not
the original.
Right.
As I mean, of course, the original bass player passed away. I guess. Did Ed King pass away as well? I guess.
That I'm not sure of, but
I should look that up because he was a big player in the Skinnard sound there. I guess he was one of the guys who got the reunion tour going back in 1987 there. Let me see. I know Artemis Pyle was nothing to do it because there was a lot of issues between him and Rosington and the others. Oh, keep in mind, Alan Collins, the other original. What?
Because Artemis Pyle, he came out with his own it was like not a documentary. It was like a movie. It was like a movie of, in his words, what really happened. And it's
in the plane crash. Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
there's a couple different ones, but this one was actually like a reenacted movie of it.
Oh,
so, that he actually made, and you know what I mean, had a lot to do with himself. But yeah, they couldn't even use Leonard Skinner songs because the band, he's not part of the band. But what happened? Like, what was the deal with that? Like, just some money issues with Artemis Pyle and the rest of the group?
I have no clue. You know what? There was one of these days I'm going to look up the whole complete story. I remember there was Spin Magazine had a whole article about that whole debacle. And this came after the episode of Behind the Music that spotlighted that group there. Legal issues. I know one point back in 1991, they released a comeback album titled Leonard Skinner 1991, and they had to call themselves that for a while because I guess the MCA Records, which at that time was still functioning, kind of had an issue with that using the name. I guess the label had some sort of ties with the name, if I understand legally, I guess. I remember drummer Bev Bevan from ELO. He had the Electric Light Orchestra Part 2.
That's another one.
And he had to pay Jeff Lynne certain amounts of money to use kind of like Cole used that name, I guess, but added Part 2 to it, to let people know it's not really the main ELO that we know and love.
No, because a couple of years ago, Jeff Lynne did tour, and it was called Jeff Lynne's ELO.
ELO, yes, that's right. Yeah, good point there.
And really, he really isn't all that great anymore. Like, it was a lot of other people backing him up, like vocal wise and stuff. So
yeah, no full orchestra actual performing because these guys pioneered the lip syncing performances.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing something on USA Network during Night Flight, and it's like, wait a minute. The song sounded exactly like the record. And it's like, oh, wow. Obviously there. Hit me in the head at the last minute there. But then again, at that time, they had to do that because it's kind of hard at that time to reduplicate the sound of all those strings, all those orchestras, on the live performances there. Plus, money-wise as well, you had to pay the orchestra players as well there, I guess. And I guess took out a lot of the money of the management and everything else. Yeah. So, good point, YR. Jeff Lynne is also guilty of doing this as well there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As well as Bev Bevan. All right. Gosh. I guess, anybody else have anything to add to this? Because I'm pretty much done with my list there.
Don't mention Ted and Lizzy.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing that gets me. Why call it Thin Lizzy without Phil Lynott? Now we know Scott Gorham, one of the guitar players of Thin Lizzy, the only U.S. member of this group there. He and I guess Brian Downley, their original drummer, they still tour have Thin Lizzy, but it's with a whole bunch of new other guys along with it. I guess it's a 5-piece, but yet it's still not really Thin Lizzy without Phil Lynott.
Right.
It's just
Now,
really go
Are there
ahead.
more lists next week or a different topic?
Well, I don't think we have any more on this.
Did you do? Well, I got a bunch more.
Oh yeah,
Let me just say them now.
go ahead.
Marcia Tucker Band.
Yeah,
Gore.
or yeah,
Heart.
yeah. It's just Ann and Nancy now with a whole bunch of new other people behind them.
And for a while, it wasn't and Nancy.
Right.
I know exactly.
What else? What about Blood, Sweat, and Tears?
Mm.
Another one. That's pretty much all I got.
Well, did they have any original people?
Not the new one.
I didn't think so.
The only
Those
one
are the
I
ones-
knew from that, the only one I knew from that band, from that group, was David Clayton Thomas, the singer.
Well, in the first album, Al Cooper.
Mm.
Yeah.
I see.
What is next week's show topic?
What do you mean
Let's
Thursdays?
discuss.
Okay, let's. Wire, you mentioned about redoing the Big British Four series that we did back in 2020.
Yeah.
Did you want to? Are you up to doing that this coming Thursday?
That for all four?
Yeah, or all four, a couple of the four there.
Did you want to? Is that what you wanted to do?
I would like to do that again, especially
who are
with
the
Black
four?
Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Motorhead, and of course Judas Priest.
Purple's not involved?
Ooh.
Well, this is mostly this is the big British four, along with the big four, the U.S. four being Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Slayer.
He does have a good point about Deep Purple, though.
That's true. They were a heavy band there. So so I guess we could possibly talk about the Big British Five.
Yes, we're gonna have to throw Purple in there.
Okay, definitely. Absolutely. We'll do each band on each episode there. So that sounds pretty good there. I like to do that there.
Ark, you want to take a break from the list a couple weeks or a week or so?
Well, I don't mind being a part of Purple and Sabbath.
All right, there. Well, we definitely
I don't know enough about the others to involve myself with them.
Oh, definitely. Now's your chance to learn the songs from Maiden to Motorhead. To definitely talk about those.
I mean, I know some songs by all of them, but I'm not deeply in them.
Oh, definitely. I will I would definitely guide you. Let me be your guide.
The Priest portion, I'll make that a specialty.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Maiden's huge. So.
Maiden's still massively huger than ever before.
But see, you got to start with Sabbath, and then Priest, and then Maiden, and then the rest.
Well, I think it's kind of a toss-up between it because kind of like Sabbath started out the same time Deep Purple did, in the mid to later 60s.
Let's do Deep Purple first, then Sabbath.
Okay, definitely.
Then Priest,
Maiden.
And Motorhead.
Motorhead, yes, definitely. That sounds like a good idea. I love that idea. That's for sure there. Now,
okay.
All right there. Now, I've been wanting to talk about this, and since it's near the end of the program, I want to discuss this. Wire, did you see that clip that I sent you of Minnesota Vikings fan, what he said
Oh,
By when?
I haven't even. What happened?
Oh man, when this Thursday, when you and him were going at it left and right, Kim was on the call.